Welcome to GASTRO VISION. Today, we are going to dive into one of the most critical skills you'll develop in gastroenterology, endoscopic ultrasound. From the descending duodenum, so why is this so important? Well, because from this single vantage point, you can diagnose some really serious life-threatening conditions. We're going to start with the basics, nail down the normal anatomy, and then use that knowledge to crack a real-world case. Let's get into it. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll lock down a systematic approach you can use on every single scan. Then, we'll get really familiar with what normal looks like. And finally, we'll put it all together and analyze a fascinating case of a periampullary mass. You know, this right here, this is the golden rule of EUS. You always find your landmarks first. Then, you confirm your normal anatomy. Only then do you start hunting for abnormalities. And if you find something, you characterize it. This disciplined approach is truly what separates the experts from the novices, and it makes sure you never, ever miss anything. Okay, so picture this. We're now in the descending duodenum, and let me tell you, this is prime real estate for EUS. It gives us this incredible, crystal clear view of the pancreatic head and the very end of the biliary system. These are areas that are just notoriously tough to see well with any other kind of imaging. From this one little spot, it's like we have a front row seat to four absolutely critical structures: the common bile duct, or CBD, the main pancreatic duct, the MPD, the parenchyma of the pancreatic head itself, and the ampulla of Vater. Think of it as the major intersection of the entire digestive system. Okay, let's take a look at a normal scan. I want you to burn this image into your brain. This picture is our North Star. Everything we see from this point forward, we're going to compare it back to this. This right here is our cheat sheet for what's normal. Now, the CPD and the MPD, they should be anechoic, which, just means they look black because they're filled with fluid. But what's really cool on this slide is the 4-3-2 rule for the pancreatic duct. This is such a key pearl. The duct should be no more than 4 millimeters in the head, 3 in the body, and 2 in the tail. It's a super quick way to spot if something's wrong. And the pancreas itself, it should have that beautiful, uniform salt and pepper look. And here's a number I need you to just lock into your memory: less than 6 millimeters. That is the absolute upper limit of normal for a common bile duct in anyone under 60. You see anything bigger than that, and your internal alarm bells should be going off. So, you've seen normal. You have your baseline. Now, let's take a look at what happens when things go wrong. I'm about to show you a scan from the exact same location, but this time, it's abnormal. So go ahead, put on your detective hats. All right, take a good hard look. Compare this in your mind's eye to that normal image we just studied. Use that systematic approach we talked about. What immediately jumps out at you? What structures look off? Where's the problem? I'll give you a moment here before we walk through it together. Okay, you got it? Let's zero in on the bottom right of that image. You see that dark, kind of messy, irregularly shaped area? That, my friends, is a hypoechoic mass, and it is our main culprit. It's just a night and day difference from the nice, uniform tissue we saw in the normal scan. And here is the direct consequence of that mass. Just look at the common bile duct. It is huge. The mass is basically acting like a foot stepping on a garden hose, right? It's causing this massive backup of bile, and everything upstream gets dilated. This is just a classic sign of obstruction. Now, I want you to look really closely here. This is the subtle detail that absolutely clinches the diagnosis. You see the main pancreatic duct? It's running right into the mass and just disappearing. This tells us it's not just a bile duct problem. No, this is a periampullary mass, and it's affecting both ductal systems. So, let's put all the pieces of the puzzle together. We have a hypoechoic, irregular mass right in the periampullary region. What's it doing? It's obstructing the CBD, and it's encasing the MPD. So with these findings, we can now shift gears from just observation to actual clinical reasoning. We're not just describing what we see anymore, we're trying to figure out what it is. So let's build our differential diagnosis for a hypoechoic periampullary mass that's causing this kind of trouble. With features like this, you have to be thinking cancer until it's proven otherwise. I mean, look at the probabilities. Ampullary cancer is at the very top of the list, but it could easily be a pancreatic head cancer or a bile duct cancer, a cholangiocarcinoma. Benign causes, they are way down on our list of possibilities. So what do we do next? Well, it's a three-step plan, really. First, we need a diagnosis. We have to get a tissue sample, and that means an EUS-guided biopsy. Second, we need to relieve that obstruction, so that means an ERCP for biliary decompression. And third, we need to figure out the extent of the problem, and that means staging the cancer with a CT or an MRI.
Wow, that case was just a perfect illustration of normal versus abnormal, wasn't it? Let's quickly recap the absolute must-know takeaways from all this. All right, here are your clinical pearls to take with you. 1. Know your normal anatomy like the back of your hand. It has to be second nature. 2. A dilated duct is just a clue, it's not the final diagnosis. Your job is to find the cause. 3. Be systematic every single time. And finally, always remember this. Tissue is the issue. Imaging is suggestive, but tissue is definitive.
Okay, now I've got a question for you. I'm putting you in the driver's seat. What do you do first? Do you go for the diagnosis with a biopsy, or do you decompress that biliary system with an ERCP first? There's no single right answer here. I want you to tell me your reasoning down in the comments. You all did a great job today. You now have a solid, systematic approach to EUS of the descending duodenum. If you found this helpful, please do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Thanks so much for watching GastroVision, and I will see you in the next one.